Let's go more deeply into Swami Kriyananda's wonderful book, Affirmations for Self-Healing. And our topic today is forgiveness. And just a week ago was Easter, and we were reminded and we celebrated the wonderful words that Jesus said as he was dying on the cross. And he was praying to God for those who had put him to death. And he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And this is an important part of Christ's teachings, and it's also a very important spiritual teaching for all of us. And I think one that tends to get ignored, we hold on to something that prevents us from forgiving. We hold on to a fear, to an anxiety. And part of that too is a sense of self-justification that, how can I possibly forgive that? In looking at certain people, I'm reminded, Christ said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And we see people who very deliberately seem to know just what they're doing. Let's take the example of Donald Trump. And from his own statements, one certainly gets the impression that here is a pathological liar who seems to very consciously and deliberately try to insult and hurt other people. And yet, on another level, maybe we're not talking about innocence here in this example, but we are talking about spiritual ignorance of somehow someone may feel, well, if I can hurt other people, that will make me feel happier or better in some way. And so we're talking here of a subtle ignorance. The expression of making oneself look taller by cutting off the heads of others. And maybe let's look in our own lives, our own past, of that person or that deed or that event that happened to us that just may seem difficult to forgive in this moment. And let's look at it in another perspective, that if there's some person who we feel inflicted this hurt on us, how much of it is a case of spiritual ignorance? And let us read now what Swami Kriyananda says about forgiveness here. He says, "Forgiveness is the sword of victory. When we forgive those who seek to hurt us, we rob them of their very power to do us harm. Better still, if they respond with love, they will unite their strength to ours, so our strength becomes doubled. But forgiveness should not be given primarily for its effect on others, but rather for the freedom it affirms in our own hearts. Let no outward circumstance condition your inner happiness. Be not pleased merely when man is pleased. Be pleased rather when you feel God's pleasure in your heart." There's so much deep truth in these words. Many years ago, I read a simple book. Its title was Love is Letting Go of Fear. And the simple premise it put was, if we could, the key to letting go of fear is being able to forgive. And I mean, I know in my life, I am not aware of anybody who is consciously trying to hurt me, nor have I ever come across or thought of such a person for many decades. And also all of the people who've surrounded me in those decades also, I think, have not felt in this way that they had enemies like this. And yet each of us in the past, maybe even in our childhood or youth, felt in some way in our ignorance that somebody was trying to hurt us. And there's something lingering that we have not forgiven completely. Otherwise, we wouldn't have in our own heart this sense of fear or judgment, because we would be completely accepting and completely loving. And so it can be a wonderful introspection to just go back in our own memory and think of anything that we feel we have been hurt or wronged in some way. And can we, to whoever we feel may have been responsible for that event, can we forgive them? Because certainly whatever they did or didn't do doesn't need to influence us in the present. And so we have no advantage. There's no advantage to us to hold on to that old hurt. Simply forgive, because ultimately, at least in the spiritual sense, they knew not what they did. And so this is a wonderful lesson for each of us to take inwardly. And now, for many of us being at home more than usual, is a perfect time for that introspection, to take the opportunity of quiet, of stillness and peacefulness to plumb our own conscious mind and introspect in this way. Let's repeat together the affirmation for forgiveness that Swamiji has given us. And let me share the words first with you. He says, "All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding." And let us repeat this together and feel that we're doing it with a completely free heart. We've let go of any old feelings of hurt, and we're free to be able to state this statement of truth with all of our energy, all of our body, mind, and soul. And let's do it in a loud voice. Repeat after me, please. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. Now a little more softly. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. And now in a whisper, all that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. Now let's just let this affirmation repeat itself mentally a couple of times in our mind, in our superconscious mind, where we've permanently planted these very powerful words. So just mentally only, all that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. With this affirmation, Swamiji has taken this truth even further. We haven't just forgiven, we welcome any hurts that we receive, and we see the lesson. We see the opportunity each of these hurts offer us for our deeper spiritual understanding and unfoldment. Let's now pray mentally. Lord, how often the hurts that I've sustained in life have grieved me. Strengthen my power of love, that I surrender all things to Thee, my eternal friend. And thank you, my friends, for being with me and sharing with me these wonderful deep truths.